Finding the right stockbroker is very important and crucial to your long-term investing success. However, this can be quite a daunting task as there's so many out there, and choosing the right one can be quite challenging. So whether you're starting this year off wanting to finally start your investing journey, or you already started but wanting to level up your stockbroker, then this video is for you, because I'm going to be reviewing the best stockbrokers in Europe. And yes, that includes Europeans and UK investors, and hopefully that will help you to find the right one for you. But before we dive into each of the various brokers that I suggest, I just want to take a brief moment to look into the things that I think are very important to look into before you choose the stockbroker that you're going to be committing with for the next few years, right? As well as also mention what best really means, right? Because when you type best stockbrokers in Europe on YouTube, you find a lot of videos from a lot of people promoting their stockbroker. And first of all, of course, this is very subjective. Now, there are various websites out there that you can use to analyze and have different scores for different brokers. But let's be honest, all content creators on YouTube, they have also a financial incentive usually in mind, right? So when we talk about a broker, usually you will find the links to the broker in the description below or in the comments. And there's nothing against that, right? I do that myself. And obviously this helps me and others to run their YouTube channels. But quite often when I see these videos, I see quite a few questionable brokers being pushed quite heavily. And when I do my own homework into these brokers, I would be very resistant to put any of my money in there. But then when I go to the affiliate programs, they pay hefty commissions, right? So just keep that in mind. Just because somebody pushes a broker very much, it doesn't necessarily mean it may be the best pick for your money. Ultimately, it's your money. You have to do your own research. None of what I'm talking about to you today is financial advice, but I think it's important to see those financial YouTubers or anyone online who talks about a broker or a platform. I, at least from my side, want them to also put their money where their mouth is and use that broker, not just talk about it and send their affiliate link, but also put their hard-earned money over there. And that's honestly what I'm doing with all my brokers that I review. At least I've used them. Even if I stopped using them, I will say so, right? And if you've been watching my videos, which I do every single year, of those broker reviews, they keep on changing year after year, because some brokers that I used in the past, well, I started seeing some challenges with them or something changed in their offering, and now I can't recommend them anymore. Whilst other brokers, which I didn't recommend in the past, have made some changes, and now I do recommend them. Again, as I said, I use all of the brokers I'm talking to you about today, but that particular one I have used. I don't use actively anymore, but I can speak from experience from having used them myself. And I think that's very important to keep in mind. Of course, there are a lot of other aspects that you should look at when evaluating the right broker for you. And first and foremost is, of course, safety and security, right? There's no point in getting high interest or zero commissions when ultimately your money is at risk, right? I'm talking about long-term investing, not day trading. Really keep your money with a broker for many, many years to benefit from compound growth. So you really want to make sure that they have a proven track record, that they are safe, that they're regulated. And that's really the most important for any of the brokers to look at. Then, of course, you can look at fees, commissions, spreads. That's something I'll be talking about also across the different brokers, because some brokers, they say they have zero commission, which is great, right? Who wants to pay commissions anyways? But then obviously they have to generate some money, and usually that comes in the form of spreads. Imagine you buy a stock that's 100 euros right now in the market. When you go on Google, the price for that stock is 100 euros. But when you go to your broker to buy it, let's say it's 101 euros. It costs you 101 euros to buy. So that's basically the hidden commission, the spread, the difference between the real price and what you pay. In this case, it will be 1%. So they don't show it to you, but you still end up paying that. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Of course, another factor is the product offering, because I've seen a lot of great brokers that have really nice interfaces and a lot of things going for them, but the offering is quite limited. A lot of the ETFs that I was looking for, I couldn't find them. So what good is a broker if they can't satisfy my investment needs, right? So I really want to have a broker that really has a deep and extensive offering in their portfolio of assets that you can invest in. Definitely the platform experience is super important as well, right? I don't like a broker that is clunky and has an interface from the 90s, which, trust me, there's still way too many out there, but most of them are starting to evolve with time, improve the interfaces. Mostly all of them have a nice app experience. Not all of them have a web experience, so I think that's also important, if you do value that, to have both of them available, because not everybody feels comfortable doing the trades on the phone, and therefore you want to have a web interface or desktop version as well. Of course, another factor that I personally consider are the added benefits, because these things can make a difference, right? All things being equal, if one broker offers me some nice interest on uninvested cash, maybe a card that I can use to get cash back, right? Maybe some other benefits as my portfolio size grows over time, that they invite me to certain events and so forth. Of course, I would favor one over the other, again, considering all things being equal. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And two more important things that are often overlooked is, number one, portfolio transfer. You want to find a broker that allows you to transfer your shares to another broker if you ever wish to do so in the future, because life happens, right? You might move the country and that broker is not operating in the country. At least you can send your shares to another broker without having to sell it and pay obviously taxes on it, right? It makes sense. The second point, equally important, is global availability, because obviously right now I'm talking about brokers available in Europe and UK. But again, life happens. 20 years from now, you don't know where you're going to be living. Recently, I moved myself from Europe to the UAE, and trust me, with some of the brokers, it was impossible to move my portfolio to the UAE because they were simply not operating here. So I really value having global brokers, ideally, that operate on a global scale, that can grow with me and move with me if I ever wish to do so. And when I say best, I really don't believe in ranking them because, again, that's very subjective, right? I can rank number one just because they pay me the highest affiliate fee and I want all of you to click the button and open an account. Well, that really wouldn't be very ethical of me, and I don't like doing this. But as I mentioned, full disclosure, I do have affiliate links to most of them in the description below, most of which will give you some nice sign-up welcome bonus or free fractional shares if you use any of them. But again, it's your choice. And rather than ranking them, as I said, I want to put them into best categories because each of them has different strengths. None of them is perfect. Honestly, I don't know any perfect stockbroker out there. All of them have some lack in a specific category, but all of the ones I'm mentioning have different strengths in different areas, and that's what I want to be talking about. Now, the first one on the list is a stockbroker you probably came across if you've been surfing YouTube and looking for brokers, and that's called interactive brokers. And honestly, that's for a reason, because I can really say it's the granddaddy of stockbrokers out there. And if I could only choose one broker to keep my money safe over a long period of time, it would have to be interactive brokers. And that's why for me, that's the best broker. If safety and security and regulation for you is important, I think there's nothing that beats interactive brokers. They happen to be also one of the biggest brokers in the world. I mean, it's real, true global broker. You can see over 150 markets, 34 countries where you can invest in, right? I think they're operating in over 200 countries and jurisdictions. So pretty much most places in the world will have access to interactive brokers. I've been using them myself for a number of years. I can really vouch for them. And the cool thing is they're also listed on the NASDAQ. So it's actually a stock listed company, which is also very important. It just gives so much more credibility because they're subject to stringent regulation and auditing. So you really know your money is in safe hands. They have a lot of capital under management. So they're really trusted. And the cool thing is once you do have an interactive brokers account, you can access them through many different ways. For example, they have the IBKR desktop app. And don't worry, IBKR basically means the same as interactive brokers. It's just a short abbreviation. So if you see that online, it basically means the same thing. They have for frequent traders the Trader Workstation, TWS. They have also a mobile application, but not only one, they also have a second one, the Global Trader, which is really quite attractive for beginners, makes the interface a bit more lighter and easier to use. They also have the client portal online, which is the one I mostly use myself. They also have some APIs, so you can integrate it with other tools that you're using maybe online. And a third app, yes, you heard me right, 3 apps, that's more ESG friendly investing oriented, which you can use also more beginner friendly. And as I said, I put my money where my mouth is. You can see over here my portfolio inside of Interactive Brokers platform. Here we are on the web client. Basically, this is the one I use mostly, unless I use it on my phone, but usually I use the web version of that. And yeah, I have my portfolio in dollars actually, because right now I'm being paid in dollars, but you can very easily change the currency. If you live in Europe, probably you want to have it shown in euros to you. So it's very easy to change your base currency. You can see over here my unrealized P&L. And again, that's one of the many brokers I use personally. I like to diversify, but as I said, right now it's my biggest individual portfolio holding of all the brokers that I have. I just feel so secure with them. I know my money is safe. Now, from an interface point of view, probably not the prettiest. It has gotten better over the years, but yeah, it's not my favorite to be honest. And for beginners, it can be a little bit overwhelming to get a hang of it. Once you do, obviously I made a number of videos around interactive brokers. If you want to sign up to them, then obviously you can watch my videos where I really walk you through how everything works. Once you understand it, it's pretty straightforward and easy. It might take you a little while some of the other brokers I'll come to in a second might be easier to start with. You can see right now I only have one ETF that I really buy. I used to buy much more dividend holdings and so forth. Right now I only buy the S&P 500 ETF over here, which is listed in London. I buy the SPY5, has the lowest expense ratio of any S&P 500 ETFs out there at only 0.03%. So I'm really happy with this. And yeah, been doing quite well for me so far. And yeah, you can see here all the various things, transaction history, dividend payment that I received. Not too bad. $135 a few days ago. Happy with that. And yeah, honestly, really straightforward to buy, to sell. Really enjoy the experience. They also have a lot of portfolio insights to really deep dive into your performance and so forth. So honestly, if you like data and analysis and so forth, interactive brokers can really give you everything, which sometimes at the same time can be a little bit too overwhelming for beginners. Now, the one thing I don't really like too much about interactive brokers is their pricing and commission model. Because yes, it's not zero commission. You will pay small commission depending on what you buy, where you buy. That can also be a little bit overwhelming to get your head around in the beginning, to find what you're buying, where you're buying, and see here all the various numbers. So you can just go through and see where you're planning to buy, which volume, and so forth. For me, I found changing fixed pricing to tiered pricing actually was cheaper in the end. So I recommend people, you can change that in your setting to do that, to get lower prices, especially if you have lower volumes. The bigger your volume, eventually fixed might make sense for you. But yeah, when I did my trades of the S&P 500 in general, I ended up paying €1.50, I believe, for an order of around 1,000 euros. At the same time, the spread is amazing. Probably one of the best spreads you will find on any broker because there's so much trading, so much liquidity going on. So you have the tightest spreads, which is good. But that commission every time I paid was a bit painful. So especially if you're beginning and have smaller investable amounts, I think it might be a little bit too high for you, that number. However, once your investable amount increases, that commission as a percentage becomes ever less relevant, right? So the bigger investable amount over a longer period, I think that's where interactive brokers really shines. If you're just starting off and want to invest maybe 50 euros, maybe 100 euros, then maybe that commission eats in a little bit too much into your overall returns. With this, we move to the next broker, and that's called Trading 212, an amazing platform I've been using also for a number of years myself. I have quite a bit of funds over there sitting as well. We'll jump into the platform in a second. But this I would consider the best overall broker because it's a nice blend of having a user-friendly interface and most of all, commission-free trading, which is really attractive to many, as I said, especially for beginners who want to dollar cost average their way into it, starting off investing. Super simple, super easy to do. You can buy fractional shares from as little as €1 or pound, and you pay no commissions on that. And the spreads are also reasonable. And the cool thing is you also earn really good interest on your uninvested cash. And I've been using that myself, still do actually. Yes, we know that interest rates have been coming down, but still out of all the various offers out there, including banks and other brokers, I found Trading 212 to pay the highest interest on your uninvested cash, which is awesome because this way I basically send some of my cash over there, have it collect daily interest, which is paid to me on a daily basis. And when I'm ready to invest or see a buying opportunity, I can use those funds and then buy immediately without having to transfer and wait for anything to happen. So that's really, really cool. You can see the various interests you can get on your dollars, 4.35%, on your euros, 3.7%, on your pound, 4.9%. Now, of course, these are variable rates. As the central banks lower the rates, those will be lowered as well. But still, I found them to be the highest interest rates I could possibly get so far in Europe without any lockup, which is also very important because some other banks, they ask you to lock up your money for 6 months, 12 months. Here, you don't have that. And you're also going to be in safe hands. Your funds and assets are protected, your cash up to 20K. Moreover, they also recently introduced the Trading 212 card, which is really cool because that way you have your money over here. There's no FX fee. So when you travel and use your card abroad, you're not going to be charging any foreign exchange fee on that, which is really cool. I used Revolut for that in the past, but that rate is even better than Revolut. It's true interbank rate and zero FX fee, not even on the weekend, which Revolut charges, and you get some cash back on your spend. So really very attractive. And that's what I meant by added benefits where Trading 212 really shines. And the big plus for Trading 212 is the option that you can now transfer your portfolio to other stockbrokers. Now, they don't support every other stockbroker yet, but there's a handful of brokers where you can send your portfolio to. And that's really very powerful and very important when you choose your right broker. And that gives me confidence to continue building up my portfolio with Trading 212. So here we are inside my Trading 212 account. And yeah, you can see here the overall value. Again, I show it in dollars, but you can change the currency to whatever currency you wish, dollars, pounds, euros, whatever you have. And here you can see I'm buying actually two, the NASDAQ 100, and once again, the same S&P 500 ETF that I had also in Interactive Brokers. Sadly, the same NASDAQ ETF is not listed on Interactive Brokers. That's why I'm buying it over here on Trading 212. And you can see here, I'm also parking some of my cash over here. Last month I earned $14 because right now I'm getting 4.35% interest on my dollars. On the euros, right now I don't have euros over there, but you could choose that as well. And yeah, honestly, really, really good. They even show you where they keep your money. So I really feel safe and confident with that. To be fair, I mostly use Trading 212 on the app, which is a great experience as well. Made a number of videos around that. So if you're interested, you can check it out afterwards. The app experience is super slick, super easy to use, and very user-friendly. And you can also set up automated buys where you basically build your own ETF in a way, right? You can include whatever you want. You can put some individual stocks or some ETFs in there and create your own custom pie. Say how much you want to invest every day, every week, every month. It's up to you. And then those buys are triggered automatically without any commission. And that makes automating investments so easy and much easier than many other brokers I've seen. Next up, we move to eToro, which I would consider the best all-in-one broker because most other brokers I talked about today, they only do stocks, ETFs, maybe CFDs as well. But one thing they are missing is to invest in cryptocurrency. And let's be honest, a lot of us, want to also have some exposure to cryptocurrency, right? While you can buy some crypto-related ETFs on the other platforms, you can't actually buy real Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency on the platform. And with eToro, you can actually do that. Now, do I recommend it? Maybe not so much, because actually the fees are quite high compared to some other crypto exchanges, but the fact that you have it, I think makes it very special. Plus, one of the biggest benefits, I'll come to this in a second, is the eToro Club. That's what I talk about, the added benefits of investing in that platform, which I really enjoy. They also have features like copy trading and so forth, which I personally don't do, but obviously you can do that. They have great investing courses, which I also really value, and obviously they can really help you start your investing journey. Now, funnily enough, whenever I talk about eToro, I get a lot of heat for it. People say, well, Kai, when you invest in eToro, you don't really buy the asset, you only buy a CFD. So CFD is not the real asset, right? You don't really own the actual share or ETF. But unfortunately, most of those people who say that haven't actually used the platform. In the past, I used to think that myself, but once I started using it, I actually realized you actually do own the underlying asset, either stock or ETF, unless you use leverage. And I never recommend to use leverage, meaning to borrow money to buy more. So if you buy it without any leverage, you're actually buying the underlying asset that belongs to you. And that's very important to know, right? And a lot of people who criticize eToro, they don't actually know that or haven't used it. So I really recommend you, in case you have your doubts, do your homework, look into it, because it really offers a lot. So here we are inside my eToro portfolio. You can see obviously right now my portfolio over here. It's actually the broker I use the most in recent times, because I can do cash deposits with my credit card instantly without any fees. So I really love that experience. And yeah, when I go into my portfolio, you can see right now I'm buying the same two ETFs, the SPY 5 in London and dollars, as well as my NASDAQ 100 from iShares, BlackRock, so to say, right? So these are the two ones I'm buying. What I really like, for example, about it, I can see my gains or losses by position, which is really cool. Whenever I bought, I can see the date over here and on each of the trades, whether I'm up or down. Now, obviously, the buys that I did a while ago, I'm in the plus, and the more recent ones, because we have seen a little market corrections in the last few days and weeks, I'm a little bit down, which I'm totally fine with, right? I'm a long-term investor, and I know those numbers will turn green in the near future. I just have to hold long enough. But for me, it's really cool. I can close individual positions, which I also really like. And the cool thing is, whenever I do buy any of the ETFs over here, I pay 0 commission on it. On the stocks, there is a small commission, I believe, but on ETFs, there's no commission. So I'm really loving the experience. Now, granted, the spreads are slightly higher than on interactive brokers, but when I factor in the commission that I pay on interactive brokers and what I save on eToro, for me at least, in my scenario, when I buy around $600 every single week, that comes out to pretty much the same, right? So ultimately, it's a personal preference which platform to go with, and I like to diversify, so that's why I definitely like eToro very much. I wouldn't put all my money in there, but once again, to diversify across different brokers, I really like it. And of course, one of the big benefits that I really love about eToro is the eToro Club experience. You can see right now I'm a gold club tier level, and basically the higher your portfolio gets over time through your addition of money and deposits, but also in gains from your investments, right? So both of them will be taken in consideration. You get higher tier level, and therefore you get more tier benefits, which is really cool. And you can see some of them over here. For example, a dedicated account manager. And honestly, the first time I had that experience was unbelievable. She WhatsApped me as soon as I became a club member. We had a Zoom call. She walked me through the platform, how it works. She was the first one on the first working day of January to call me, literally call me, wish me a happy new year, and see how my investment journey is going. So honestly, if that comes from slightly higher spreads, I'm really happy to pay that, because the service I've been getting has been absolutely stellar. And obviously, the more my portfolio grows, the more benefits I'll get over time, right? Eventually, I hope to one day be a diamond user, but even as a platinum, I'll get significantly more benefits, which I should be hopefully very soon. So you can see all the various benefits over here that I'll be getting the higher portfolio goes. It means you don't have to pay anything in addition. On the contrary, you get more benefits the higher your portfolio is. And I really like that. And I really think more brokers should actually take an inspiration from that to reward their users with more benefits the longer they stay with them over time. You can see things like Wall Street Journal subscription that you get for free, additional insurance, tickets to handpicked sporting events. And guys, honestly, I can tell you, I made a whole video about this recently. I was invited by eToro to Formula 1 Abu Dhabi, the last race of the season, and I'm a huge F1 fan, so you can imagine I was over the moon when they called me, and literally just by being a member, not because I'm an affiliate for them, but the fact that I have a portfolio and investment with them. I spoke to other members who were invited, and all of them there had similar sized portfolios like me, really not too huge, and none of them were affiliates. I was the only one over there, so it's not just because I'm an affiliate, but really because I have a portfolio with them. So for me, it's really nice to see that, and obviously eventually, once I get to Diamond, hopefully one day I get that, you get things like free airport lounge, priority pass access, and invitation to Diamond member events where you meet the CEO. And apparently they had some cool locations around the world, the finest restaurants, tasting dinners, you meet other members. So for me, that's really, really exciting. And I don't know any other broker who rewards their investors the way eToro does. The only thing to keep in mind with eToro right now, you're not in a position to transfer your shares to another broker, unfortunately. I hope that feature will come in the future. Right now you can't. But at the same time, obviously I don't have all my money in there, so I'm already diversified, which is fine. Plus the fact that they really operate on a global scale. In most countries, they are operating. So even if I was to move to another country, that portfolio could move with me without me having to sell it, right? So that's very important, right? Unlike some other brokers that only operate locally or in 2-3 countries in Europe, you're going to be very restricted. With eToro, I've recently spoken to a friend of mine who moved his account from European eToro to the UAE eToro as well, and that was really easy to do. So that's also important, right? Even if you can't transfer shares yet, at least you'll be able to transfer internally to another country. That's very important to keep in mind as well. Now, before we move on to the next broker, if you've been enjoying the video so far, you might want to check out matchmybroker.com. It really gives you deep dive analysis into the various brokers and even helps you find the perfect broker for you. If you go onto the button over here, it basically asks you a couple of questions and then presents you with the best possible broker for you, because all of us are different, and I think it can really make your life easier finding the right broker. And obviously you have a whole list of brokers to choose from over here, and then you can go into each of them individually to kind of really deep dive into what is relevant for you to find out all the nitty-gritty and fine print what matters. So I think it might be a worthwhile resource to check out. And some very cool calculators, including an ETF fee calculator, where you basically put your investable amount and then you can compare the different fees for different ETFs. You put that over here and you see the difference over time, because a lot of people think those ETF fees don't really matter, but trust me, they really add up over time. So yeah, if you run those numbers over here, you want to find and pick an ETF with a low management fee. With this, we move on to another great broker for Europeans and UK investors, and that's called Lightyear. Now that's an app and broker that is often overlooked. I don't know, a lot of reviews that I see online, they never really talk about Lightyear, and I actually think it's one of the best and sleekest brokers, especially for beginners. Honestly, the interface is, for me, the nicest one of all of them. Both the web version and the app version, really, really nice, so simple to use. So if you are looking for the simplest user interface, then honestly, Lightyear is probably your pick. They also pay a nice interest rate on your uninvested cash. Really, really love it, especially for ETFs. There's no commission, which I also like. On the stocks, there is a small commission, but on ETFs, there isn't. So that's also great. And while they have not been operating so long, like some of the other brokers I mentioned before, they've consistently improved their offering, and more investors have started to appreciate for what Lightyear is and what they can offer to investors. They've actually done a nice comparison of their fees versus some of the other brokers and banks in Europe. So you can see that over here, compare it in your own country to see what they do better. Right, so here we are inside my Lightyear account. You can see my portfolio slightly smaller than with some of the other brokers. But yeah, overall right now, I only have one ETF over here, which is the Vanguard S&P 500. Unfortunately, they didn't have the ETF that I usually buy with my other brokers, but still, this is arguably one of the most popular ones out there in Europe and UK. And the cool thing is I actually have a repeat order set up. So basically now every single week on Wednesday, I buy one share of that ETF, fully automated. I don't have to think about it. And that's what I really like about Lightyear. They make it so simple. And just look how beautiful the interface looks. I mean, I can see every time I made a buy, I can just easily click and drag my cursor over here to see how much growth happened over a specific period. So really small little touches that I really appreciate. You get a lot of insights without being overwhelming, because some other apps and brokers, they really overwhelm me with information. But here I just get enough of what I need to know. And the cool thing is, on my cash, on my euros right now, I still get 3.04%. Of course, that's variable. That can change over time. But yeah, why not, right? It's free money just by having my cash sitting over here, which is waiting to be invested over time every single week into my ETF of choice over here. Right now, unfortunately, the only limitation of Lightyear is that you can't transfer your portfolio to another broker. Again, I hope they will add that very soon. For the time being, you can't. But that's in my eyes the only real caveat to keep in mind. Other than that, an amazing broker, especially for beginners. I really recommend them. It's one of the simplest ways to get started investing. You can always layer on another broker on top later on as your portfolio grows. But to get you started, start setting up automated buys, I think it's a real solid choice. With this, we come to the last stockbroker recommendation, and that's XTB, which I personally think is the best for frequent traders. Now, I'm not a frequent trader myself. That's why I'm not using them anymore. I have tried them in the past. And obviously here you find some of the lowest spreads. They are also a stock listed company in Poland. So that's something to keep in mind, but they are stock listed after all. And really they offer a lot, even though they have now also started introducing stocks and ETFs, not CFDs, but the real underlying assets as well. They also pay you interest on your uninvested cash, which is attractive. And I think more and more brokers should be doing that. They have won a number of awards. From a security point of view, you're going to be in safe hands because they are subject to scrutiny and so forth. Again, being stock listed company operating on a global scale. They also operate here in the UAE and many other countries around the world. So you know that you can move your portfolio around. And yes, you can also transfer your shares to another stockbroker if you so wish, which is very, very important. They also do offer an ISA account for UK investors. So if that's important for you, then that's a great option here as well. No commissions. You can invest from as little as £10 or euros, which is really good. Can buy fractional shares. So overall, a really nice broker choice. Though personally, I have to say, while it's a great broker, I have not really enjoyed the user interface. For me, it just looks a bit clunky and old school. It does what it's supposed to, but just the look and feel of it is just a little bit outdated in my eyes. That's why I've been using them less and less. And especially since I have already so many different brokers. As I said, I did some trades in the past, but I just like the feel of the other brokers. But overall, a really solid option, especially if you're trading frequently. I really think it's worthwhile to check out. So there you have it. My recommendations of stockbrokers if you live in the UK or Europe. Stockbrokers I haven't mentioned, and in fact, I would not recommend to use. The first one being Trade Republic. Now, in the past, I actually did recommend them because it is a German licensed bank, really innovative broker. They have a card as well where you can get some safe back, and they really used to pay some nice interest in the past when the interest rates used to be higher. So overall, a really trusted broker where your money is safe, and I can't really say anything bad overall against the broker. Unfortunately, my experience with it really changed. I made a whole video about it. Basically, what happened was they closed my account without giving me any reasons as to why they closed it. The same for my wife. And worst of all, while I didn't have any stocks with them, I only kept some cash. I could easily withdraw my cash and close my account. I was fine. But my wife had a significant holding with them. And while they talk about being able to transfer shares to another broker, when we actually did it to both Trading 212 and Interactive Brokers, it just did not work. It's really unfortunate because they only buy and trade stocks on the Hamburg Stock Exchange, which is not supported by either Trading 212 or Interactive Brokers, so we're not able to transfer them. So ultimately, she had to sell the stocks, and then obviously with this comes taxation and so forth. So really not ideal, and for me, that was really disappointing, on top of the fact that they closed my account without giving me any reason. And when I shared that, obviously some people say, well, you can do it, otherwise nobody could ever do it, but I haven't actually heard of anyone really doing it. And the same was true with Trading 212. You can also find that on Interactive Brokers, that Trading 212 is listed, but once you do the transfer, which I did myself, it does not go through. So just because something is listed somewhere does not mean it actually works. So be very mindful of that. And lastly, we have Freedom 24. Now, personally, I haven't used them, but just the fact that I'm being marketed to use them all the time, they have quite aggressive marketing. Obviously, they pay really high commissions for affiliates. That alone for me pushes me away a little bit. And there have been quite a number of reports around the Freedom holding. Again, I can't confirm whether they're true or not, but just the fact that people talk about it, for me, just makes me feel a little bit iffy when I think about it. Plus, I personally found their pricing plan quite expensive when you look at the commission. So especially when we have so many other great alternatives, I personally really don't see a need to go with Freedom 24. And personally, I wouldn't be putting my money there. Well, friends, there you have it. I hope it was useful for you and you found maybe a new broker to check out or look into. And if you enjoyed that kind of video and want to see more of it in the future, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Really helps out a lot, and I really appreciate you for doing so. And in case you've been wondering how I track all my various brokers in one single app to see my total portfolio, then you might want to check out this video over here where I walk you through one tool that does just that. Thanks a lot for watching. As always, stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.